Hey, it's Drybear. Arch-tempered Rey Dau has launched in Monster Hunter Wilds, and he's actually my favorite monster of the Wilds initial release. Before we get, our big expansion relaunch for that as well. I just love the visuals of Rey Dau. I think he looks really cool. I think he has such a cool aesthetic, and he also just like cutscene and like world wise just feels so unique because a lot of the times he's just been attacked by so many apex big bad and antagonist monsters, and he just gets up and keeps going. So with the launch of Arch-tempered Rey Dau, what I wanted to do is do another build guide. When the Wilds launched, I actually rolled a random wheel and it random on heavy bowgun, so I did a heavy bowgun playthrough and I did a heavy bowgun guide back then. But today what I want to do is walk through my light bowgun guide. It was very easy to just transition over to light bowgun from heavy bowgun, so we'll cover how to use the weapon, the ins and outs of it. We'll talk about an endgame build for elemental, how to use it, and at the end of the video I will show a full hunt of Arch-tempered Rey Dau solo with my light bowgun. Now I'll tell you, light bowgun is a ton of fun. It's super flexible. It seems simple at first, but a lot of it is more about strategy, about managing your ammo type, managing what you have with your character, and being able to have the right weapon with the right ammo for the job, which not most of the melee weapons need, except for maybe like sword and shield or like dual blades or something. For the most part, you can kind of pick a good weapon of melee and use it for most fights, whereas when it comes to the light bowgun, you really need to understand the monster you're hunting, the ammo type you're bringing, the attachments you have on the bowgun, and everything in between. So in this video, I'm going to get you set up with a perfect late game, end game, hyper optimized light bowgun build that you can use for any of the hunts you're looking for, and explain everything about the weapon. So I'll start with my Drybear one sheet, which is the build that I'm using right now for light bowgun. It has my notes on it on what to use and everything in between. I prefer using the Arshan weapon for the light bowgun with an element built on it. Again, because of this, you're going to have to build multiple of these in order to use different elements and different ammo types against different monsters. So this is my build set up for Rey Dau. Rey Dau is weak to both water and ice, so I made an ice animator and animalator, which is the Arshan light bowgun for endgame, using ice attack with the freeze ammo for that specifically, and we'll talk about tips and tricks for that as well. So I'll put this on screen initially for the people that just want the build and they want the sheet for reference and they want to jump back into game, and then we'll go into the light bowgun from the beginning all the way to the end game so we can talk about what the weapon is about. Okay, let's talk about the light bowgun here in the training session so you can see what buttons I'm pressing and what I'm using and that sort of thing. So we'll talk with the basic move set of the light bowgun. What's great about the light bowgun is it is a lot faster and easier to use in general than the heavy bowgun, but that comes with a trade-off. The heavy bowgun is nice because you can actually do clash mechanics, you can block and perfect guard at the same time, and you can also do offset attacks with the heavy bowgun, which kind of helps, deal with the fact that the heavy bowgun is in fact heavy. So with a light bowgun, you have tons of mobility. You don't actually have the parry mechanic that you had in Monster Hunter Rise, which is super cool. Being able to parry at the weapon was really nice, but it's just super flexible and that sort of thing. So let's go from the beginning. I don't want to leave anyone behind on this. If you're just starting on light bowgun, you've never used it before, the first thing you want to know about light bowgun is you have tons of different ammo types. So in the bottom right corner, I can hold L1 on my PS5 controller, or you can, whatever your keybind is, and you can cycle through different types of ammo. There's going to be the three primary types of ammo: normal, pierce, and spread. And then there's all kinds of functional ammo types, things that do status effects, things that do different element types, all kinds of things that you can find on that as well. So if you actually like put your weapon away and we just look at the weapons themselves, so I can actually just change equipment and we can look at this here. So these are all the ammo types listed on the weapon in general. So normal, pierce, spread are the default ones. And then there's a ton of others that you'll want to be aware of. The elemental ones are going to be the most important. So water, freeze, thunder, dragon are super important as well. And you can get ones to just go against the specific ammo type that you need against that target, depending on what you need, and all just based on that as well. You can get flaming ammo, yada yada, and this just helps you with that. Or if you have a target that's weak to sleep or paralysis, these are usually a little bit better in multiplayer if you want to use them, but that's what you need to know. On top of that, if you need to sever, like cut off a tail, you will need to use slicing ammo. So you need to find a weapon that uses it. Most of the light bowguns don't have slicing ammo, so I have a heavy bowgun here equipped. And the big thing here is that if you have this equipped, you can actually just swap to the heavy bowgun that I have here. Then we can switch over to the slicing ammo. And all this is that when you shoot, it's going to wait for a second, pop, and then do slicing damage, and this just allows you to sever tails or break parts off. You can also do the KO, like the sticky ammo is useful for KO damage. If you want to knock a monster out, you can hit them in the head and knock them over. But for the most part, you'll be able to rely on the core types, which are infinite. So normal, pierce, and spread for these are infinite, and they have their own functionality as well. The next thing you need to know about the light bowgun, which is both bowguns really, is going to be the range mechanic. So when you're aiming with the light bowgun, you'll notice that it'll say out of range for a specific type of ammo. So based on your range, it will either be a target hit like this, or you'll hit optimal range. So look at the reticle in the middle of the screen. You'll notice that when I'm out of range and I shoot, it's not going to do anything. It's going to like floor my damage like crazy. If I get within, respectable range, like, not optimal, but you at least will still hit, you'll be able to do a little bit more damage this way, depending on that. But optimal range is going to look like this. The reticle will turn orange, and depending on the ammo type, you'll have a different reticle or crosshair, but it'll let you know that you're in optimal range in order to do maximum damage. You'll notice with that shot, that did way more damage than the other ones, and the range requirement is different based on the type of ammo. So this is spread ammo, the shotgun ammo type. Then if you go to pierce, you'll notice that this is a lot further away. So like this is not going to do max damage, it's going to be a white number, but if I hit this with orange, then it does full damage, and you're more likely to do a bunch of damage and build wounds from that. Same thing goes for the normal ammo as well, which is usually a little bit closer than pierce, but not quite as close as spread. So again, normal ammo without hitting the wound there, you'll see it's kind of weak. If we hit the reticle here, when it turns orange, we'll get the max damage value out of it, and that's really what you're looking for. So the core gameplay of light bowgun is positioning yourself in the fight so that you're always hitting the target in your optimal range. And this is extra important for pierce ammo and by extension elemental ammo as well. So you'll notice when you use pierce ammo, it will go through the target and then deal damage along the length of the target that every target that it hits. However, it gets kind of wonky if you use pierce ammo at the wrong range. So if I do this here, sometimes it'll be able to do, like based on the distance that it travels, the ammo that is in range. Like if I'm not in range here, this should be white for there. If I get close enough, it'll be orange. And you can see how the last few hits there were out of effective range. And that's because it left the effective range as it hit the target. So especially when you're using pierce ammo, and again, by extension, elemental ammo, you're going to get to a point where, since the elemental ammo is pierce ammo, you really need to make sure that your initial shot is actually in optimal range. Otherwise, you're going to lose a ton of damage. So if I do this on minimal, you notice that we get white numbers for this, even on the elemental. So you're really just trying to constantly reposition in the fight to make sure you're dealing the maximum amount of damage possible. And as monsters are moving around and animating and jumping and doing crazy attacks, that's kind of the big play style for the ammo that you're using as well, which is super important. Now, that being said, there is a skill called ballistics that you want to at least have anywhere from level 1 to level 3, depending on your comfort range. What ballistics does, it extends the range in which ammo and arrows have maximum power. This is super useful for pierce, because then it can elongate across the monster and give you more benefit there. You can get used to having, maximum ballistics, and I think as you get more comfortable with the monster and the fight, you can go lower, it's like level 2 or level 1. I tend to stick between level 1 and 2 unless I really need to have maximum range on that, but you'll notice having no ballistics versus having some on all ammo types, really. So like getting into that optimal range is so much easier if you have ballistics, because it allows you to kind of activate that range depending on the ammo type that you're using. Now, because we are an elemental ammo build, there's one major problem with elemental builds for ammo types on bowguns, the light bowgun specifically, is that the elemental ammo is limited. So if you'll notice here that I'm looking at my pierce ammo, spread ammo, and normal ammo, it has that infinity sign next to it. That means that this ammo is infinite. I can sit here and I can spam this all freaking day. It's never going to run out. I can just keep reloading and shooting and shooting and shooting. However, the special ammo types, like the elemental ammo types, will run out. You'll actually run out of these. And so there is a skill set to maintaining your elemental ammo with you. And the best way that I can describe this with you is twofold. First, you want to obviously bring the maximum amount of ammo type for that, and you can just refill this. Monster Hunter Wilds has the best version of ammo management that I've seen in any Monster Hunter game before, because it just keeps it all in one place. It's a separate ammo area, and you can refill it all at once. It's super easy. So you'll see this in the full playthrough of the Rey Dau fight I'll show you at the end, where I just go back to camp, refill my ammo, that sort of thing. But usually these cap out at about 60 on the elemental ammo. So you see all of these are 60. So Thunder, Freeze, Water, and Flaming, it's all maximum 60. It's only all you can have on you. However, we know we can craft. So usually what you'll want to do is you'll figure out whatever ammo you're using for that fight. So Fire Herb for Flaming, the Flow Fern for Water, the Freeze ammo is Snow Herb, and the Thunder ammo is Thunderbug Capacitor. You'll want to carry these with you, because that means that when you're in the middle of the fight and you run out of ammo, you can actually just switch to these and craft the ammo that you need to fill yourself back up. You should be able to do that twice, which means you'll get to 180 ammo for a single fight. And usually by the time you spend 180 ammo, like 120 to 180 ammo, then the monster will be fleeing to the next area, even if you use everything you can to keep them there. And then you can just go back to a tent, refill your ammo, refill your crafting material, and then go back to the next round of the fight, which allows you to use a whole bunch of ammo. What I'm going to recommend as well is what I really think that you should do is when you have your actual, like you're trying to do this as part of this, you want to actually save onto your radial menu the ammo types that you actually need. So like right here, you'll notice that on my my left arrow for this, it has all the ammo types that I might need, like Flaming, Water, Cluster, Freeze, Thunder, Dragon, like all of these. And what you'll do is that if you currently don't have ammo for that ammo type and you go to your radial menu to use it, if you can activate that radial menu, if you don't have any equipped and you have the material to craft it, from that radial menu, it'll craft that ammo. So that's how you're able to quickly, in the middle of a fight, craft new ammo and get back to it very quickly. So I can show you on this Rey Dau fight that I was doing earlier. You'll notice that my freeze ammo is now 3, 2, 1, boom, and auto defaults to normal ammo. I just bring up my radial menu, go over to freeze ammo, and spam the button. It crafts all the freeze ammo that I need, and then I can get back to it. So I want to make sure I covered that just for the people that haven't been using light bowgun before and aren't used to elemental ammo. Going from 60 ammo to 120 or 180 in a single round is a game changer, and it will make you feel a lot better about using elemental weapon builds. Next, let's talk about the short list of abilities and moves that you have on the move set for light bowgun. They're not super complicated. Like I said, the big part about light bowgun is knowing your enemy, bringing the right ammo, bringing the right weapon, and utilizing it at optimal range, which does take a lot of effort. However, you have a couple moves that you can rely on here. So normally you can just, let's take off this ammo here, so we're not, whatever. You can just shoot and do that. However, what's cool about the light bowgun is you can do these little hops. You can shoot and then hop, shoot and then sidestep, and these will actually work with evade window as well. So you can like kind of ramp up, shoot, sidestep, give you a little boom. And you want to run evade extender, you can also do that as well, which gives you a lot of freedom. There's also a follow-up shot which you can use. It's not crazy useful because it has a little bit of a major animation time. So if I shoot this and reload, you'll notice that if I shoot and then hit chaser shot, it gives you a little bit more, and it'll actually be quite useful on ammo, but it can be kind of tough to mix this in on normal rotations. It does have an increased damage output, so if you're able to use the chaser shot well, it can be super useful. So you shoot and then chaser shot, super useful, and I like to use it as my ammo gets low as well. So you shoot, boom, chaser shot, and then you can shoot, dodge, that sort of thing, and gives you a lot of ammo. You can even do like a sidestep reload as well. You can even do aerial reloads too. So if we empty this, right? What I can do is I can go and I can bring out my weapon and I can go boom, and then you can shoot during the air. Or what you can do is you can go boop, shoot, and then you can jump, and then you can do melee and jump reload that way, which is super useful as well. So you can actually, do jumping reload very easily, or you can just hold down the triangle button if you're on PlayStation to reload that way. Now that we have that, that's kind of like the core of the light bowgun. You don't have clashes, you don't have perfect guards, you don't have offset attacks or anything like that. The next thing that we want to know about is going to be the special ammo and the special mode of the light bowgun. So if we go back to our light bowgun here and we look at this, you'll notice that on the light bowgun in the middle of the screen, you know, it'll have the levels of the ammo, but it also has these different equipment and special ammo types as well. So if you go to customize bowgun, which is the one we're using now, you can see that we have 2 equipped mods, one that changes the powder for the ammo that you're using. If you're using an elemental build, you're going to want to use elemental ammo powder. Then you have some kind of modifier for the type of ammo you're using. You can either modify your special firing mode, or you can just modify your pierce, spread, or normal ammo, depending on the weapon itself. And then you also have a special ammo type. You can choose between adhesive ammo or wyvern blast, just for extra damage there. So when you're doing that, you'll notice in the bottom right corner, I have, with this current setup, I have these 3 little ammo shots and then a special ammo indicator for that as well. The first one that you'll want to know about is Eagle Strike, which is going to be you hold down the aim and then you R1 on PlayStation controller, and this will allow you to wind up your eagle shot. This is the 3 ammo types that you see over there. I might be able to hit that. Yeah, so you see how that does a wound break on it, and now one of those 3 bullets in the bottom right corner is gone. I can now use up my Eagle Strike. I don't think it's as useful as the heavy bowgun wound break, but Eagle Strike gives you a lot of stagger damage and also allows you to, you know, get the monster to step back for a second, and allows you to break wounds, which can give you special materials and things like that. So all you have to do for this is you can charge up the Eagle Strike, aim it at a wound, boom, it'll pop the wound and do some good damage. And it does have a little bit of some stagger damage on it as well, which is useful for certain things. So you want to use this when you see a wound, just to be able to do a bunch of damage there. But you can see the animation time that you spend on it is quite extensive, so it's going to hurt a little bit. Then you have your special ammo, either the Wyvern Blast or the adhesive. You press on PlayStation control, you'll do triangle and circle at the same time, which is your primary and your secondary for other controllers. So you activate this and it'll load in this special ammo type. So now I have the adhesive round in. What you do with the adhesive round is you stick it to a monster and then you just shoot it. The more damage, it like basically absorbs all your damage as you hit it, and then after a short time, it'll release that damage. So it's about to pop. It'll do a bunch of damage based on the amount of damage that it's absorbed, and then goes on cooldown. So you can see it does a significant amount of damage. The challenge is, depending on the monster, like if you stick this to Gravios's butt, you'll be able to slam it and do a bunch of damage easily. But if you do a monster that moves a lot, it's going to be kind of hard to hit it repeatedly. It's easier with Pierce because, you know, if you stuck the adhesive there, you can shoot through the monster and hit the Pierce on the other side on the adhesive, but that is one option. The other option is the Wyvern Blast, which is easier in multiplayer or just using it when the monster is down. So if you like you get a major collapse, like the monster is down, or you get them in a trap or something, that's when it's easiest to use the Wyvern Blast. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to load this up, boom, you can put it on the ground, and now this is here. This is like old school Monster Hunter light bowgun, but when you hit it, you'll notice that it explodes. So if I shoot it, you can do multiples here. That's why it's most useful against monsters that are down, because you can walk up to the enemy, place the Wyvern Blast into the ground, and then you can pierce it and shoot it at the same time, which does do respectable damage. So what you could do is you could do like underneath an environmental thing. Like sometimes you can put these Wyvern Blasts down underneath some rocks or something. So if you ever hit them with the rocks and they fall down on top of it, it's super easy. But you'll notice that even if you just shoot this, the explosion itself does damage, but you can also just hit the target through the blast, which is super nice. Or you can do like spread ammo, for example, and shoot it that way, which causes, as long as any damage hits it, it's super nice. But again, it's more useful for when you down the monster or when you're in multiplayer and you don't have aggro. And that's kind of the core for the light bowgun. You'll have to practice a lot on finding the right distance. You'll notice that like monster lands, you're ready to shoot, but you're out of effective range, so your ammo is going to do very little, that kind of thing, depending on the build that you're running for. Most people run Pierce because it gives you the most damage opportunity, especially on a long monster that you can hit. But also, you'll notice that like if you hit the wrong side of the monster, it won't do very good damage, right? So you want to hit the weak points, right? The claws or the leg pieces or the horns or the face or the end of the tail or whatever. You want to make sure you're always hitting the correct spot to do the most optimal damage to the target based on where they're standing and the ammo you're using. Lastly, we have the rapid fire mode, and this mode is so unbelievably powerful. So you'll notice that like you can actually have this in the bottom right corner, right below below my special ammo types is this orange bar. That's your rapid fire mode. So at any time, you can activate the button that's next to it. For me, it's circled. You can activate this. It'll attach this little barrel to it, and now you're in rapid fire mode. So you'll notice that you have this little bar, this meter. You have extended ammo as well, so you can even do this with like freeze ammo or whatever ammo type the weapon requires. And this just allows you to, it has increased ammo, it has faster fire rate, sometimes it fires multiple times, which gives you this just like crazy, like, bah, you can just go crazy on a target, blowing them to pieces with rapid fire mode. But you'll notice that as you use it, the bar goes down, and so you'll eventually run out of that and have to start building it up again. If you want to, you can cancel the rapid fire, remove the barrel, and so you can just go back to normal damage on the target. And certain moves and attacks will refill that meter better than others. So you can do like a shot and then a chaser shot as well, and do that ammo shot there. So boom, into the chaser shot. Sometimes those will give you more meter rebuild as well. So you'll notice in the bottom right, my meter is like going up a little bit faster than normal, so I can go boom, and then I can chaser, which fills you a ton of meters. So if you're relying a lot on rapid fire mode, you can just use the chaser shot to build that up and get some crazy damage that way. Now, jumping back to this endgame build, this is going to focus on using elemental damage. So you want the elemental attack with the kind of element you're building. You're going to have to make a light bowgun for every type of damage, at least the 4 primary types that you need. When you're making it, I would recommend doing all attack bonus with the element on all 3 as well. So 3 of the relics for attack and ice, attack and ice, attack and ice, or if you're making a thunder one for a specific monster, or fire for flaming, all of that lines up. Do attack instead of the crit for the affinity boost, and then try to get attack boost and then capacity as well for the reroll on the weapon on top of that. For the armor set, I don't really see any reason not to use the 4-piece bonus on the Gore Magala, the Gore Magala's Tyranny. Getting Black Eclipse 2, especially with antivirus, which gives you improved recovery, just gives you crazy damage bonus. The problem with this build as it shows right now is that you lose out on raw, like just getting enough damage boost on top of that. So we try to come back from that loss by adding agitator, maximum might, and even things like coalescence can help with that as well. Just get a little bit extra bonus. Tetrad shot can help you a lot with that too, and then we even run critical element just to get some extra bonus in there as well. So I would run gore, 4-piece gore. I like running helm, mail, vambraces, and greaves. I do beta for all of them except for the chest, just to get a little extra on that as well. And then we run the brand new numinous overlay waste, which gives us the coalescence, which is super nice, coalescence and agitator, which scales us up on that front as well. So this is the build that I run with, and that includes the decorations as well. So more on the business there. Now, what you could do this is super true for heavy bowgun. A lot of people run bursts on heavy bowgun because you get multiple hits, especially if you're running elemental and they're a pierce type elemental. You'll get multiple hits, which will trigger burst every single time. You can even run things like the trait that gives you more damage as the hunt goes on, depending on how geared you are, that sort of thing. But this is the build that I would run with for endgame, and this is the one that I'm using for Arch-Tempered Rey Dau. And that's what I've got for the light bowgun. This is the build that I've been using here. Let me know what you think. If you have a different build, or you have some tips and tricks for people picking up the light bowgun, and also if you would like me to keep up with the Monster Hunter Wilds gaming scene and keep making builds, I'd like to just, you know, move on to another weapon, potentially just do the bow and finish the ranged weapons, and then go back to some of my favorite weapons. Like, you know, of all the Monster Hunters I've played over the last, you know, many years, I probably have the most amount of time with the sword and board, as well as the insect glaive, probably my all-time favorite weapon, and even things like the lance are a big favorite of mine as well. So I'd love to move on to melee weapons. Let me know if you'd like to see more of this stuff from me, and we'll end the video with a full Arch-Tempered Rey Dau Hunt, unedited, so you can see it. I'm not claiming to be the best LBG player or this is the fastest time. This is a solo AT Rey Dau Hunt that shows you at least what I'm talking about and has some reference material for you if you're learning LBG.
Commencing quest by order of the guild. We received supply items. Don't let them go to waste. All right, time to get serious.
lightning has the man done. Use that as a trap. Trap set.
That's my partner.
If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.